This is Dr. Michio Kaku, host of Exploration. This coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the Barnes & Noble on 82nd Street in Broadway, I'll be doing a lecture and book signing for my new book, The Future of Humanity. Are we about to enter a new golden age for space travel? What are the pros and cons? So join me this Tuesday at the Barnes & Noble on 82nd Street as we discuss the future of humanity. Don't miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the award-winning Midnight Ravers will do a Black History Month Fund Drive show on Friday, February 16th, 2018, from 12 midnight to 2 a.m. Join us as we present two new exciting thank you gifts for your generous donations. First is our highly revered show, Juneteenth. Second is our most recent production, Fear of a Black Planet. So tell a friend, tune in, and show your support. That's Friday, February 16th from 12 midnight to 2 a.m. for our Black History Month Fund Drive show. Only on WBAI in New York, 99.5 FM. Miss it and hate yourself.
The Midnight Ravers, where every show is a special.
WBAI is een niet-commerciële zender, gesponsord
Ciao,
door de
sono
luisteraars.
Letizia e quando sono a New York ascolto WBAI su 99.5 FM.
Nitwa Jacqueline Murekatete, ndi umuresikapi wa jenoside y'abatutsi yabaye muri 1994 mu Rwanda. Murimo kumva
Когато съм в Нью Йорк, аз винаги слушам WBAI 99.5
Mi nome è Ilse, ando sempre mi radio sintonizza na 99.5 FM WBAI.
What language do you speak when you call back home and talk to your grandmother or cousins? Join WBAI's ongoing community outreach and produce a station ID for us in your native tongue. You can contact the program coordinator, Michael G. Haskins, at wbaiannouncements@gmail.com. Let's celebrate each other.
And once again, this is WBAI New York, 99.5 FM, and WBAI.org on the web. This is a listener-sponsored community radio station providing you a Pacifica state of mind since 1960. And we are closing out week number 2 of our winter fund drive here of 2018, making sure that this institution continues to provide you that information. But we need your help in order for us to do that, to continue to do that. The number to call to show your support once again is 516-620-3602, 516-620-3602, or go to give2wbai.org on the web. That's give to wbai.org on the web. Last and certainly not least, you can text to donate. It's a new way of donating to this radio station by texting WBAI to the number 41444. Text WBAI to the number 41444 on your smartphone. A link will appear. That link turns into a page, and the page will ask you how much would you want to donate to this radio station. You could donate as little as $5, but you could donate a lot more than that if you feel like it. Every donation is tax deductible. Stay tuned for State of the Arts NYC with Savona Bailey-McClain coming up.
Good evening. This is State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. And tonight we are so excited for our broadcast. The theme is Encountering Art on a Global Scale. We are so lucky to have with us this evening. We will have Sean Kelly, who represents the artist Kehinde Wiley, who just completed his commissioned portrait of President Obama. We will also have with us Maureen Bray, who is the new Director for ADAA, and that's the Association of Art Dealers. I should reverse that. Art Dealers Association of America. And we will have Nicole Berry, the brand new Executive Director for the Armory Show. This is a coup for us this week. We are going to be kicking off early art season in New York, which begins in March. And so we are going to start right away with Mr. Sean Kelly. Are you on the line, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so very, very much for joining us.
It's very nice to be with you.
Yes. And so, for the benefit of our listeners, Mr. Kelly is a British-born but New York City native now. And he has his gallery that he began, I believe, right, in 1991.
Yep. Yes, it's quite a while now.
And you were in Soho until 1995, and then you came up a little bit to Chelsea, where you had some bigger digs, and you were dealing with some pretty wonderful artists, some from your home country, Antoni Grome, you had Rebecca Horn, and then you decided to come further for even bigger digs in the Hudson Yard area, and now you have Jose Davila, you have Candida Hofer, you have Marquito Mori as some of your artists, and you're really breaking some interesting grounds, and now you have the pleasure of dealing with Kehinde Wiley, who just got picked up to do President Obama's portrait. What a, whirlwind career. So tell us, how did it all begin for you?
Oh, good Lord! I don't know if you've got enough time on your program for that, but I mean the dime version of it is that I was trained as an artist, and then I was a curator, and then I was a museum director and a festival director, and I moved to New York in 1988, 89, and I've lived here ever since, and opened my gallery in 91.
Okay.
And have, as you say, gone through 3 different locations. Mm-hmm. We're now located at 36th and 10th in the burgeoning Hudson Yards district.
Yes.
And we have 22,000 square feet of space, one of the biggest spaces in New York, which means it's one of the biggest spaces in the world. Mm-hmm. And, we work with an extraordinary group of artists from all over the world, including Kehinde, who, as you say, was just commissioned to paint President Obama's official portrait.
Yes. That must have been an exciting week for you to deal with all of the attention, the commentary, the opinions that people may have had. Portraits.
It was an amazing event on Monday with the Obamas and many other people and many of their friends who were on hand for Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks et al., who were on hand to support them for the unveiling of the portraits. And, extraordinary press coverage, 150 plus members of the international press.
Wow.
It being streamed live all over the world. I was sitting in the ceremony and got a text from a friend of mine in Iceland who said they were watching me in the ceremony.
Wow.
So it's kind of amazing to think of the range that the event had, and also the resonance that it had, not just in this country, but all over the world. And of course, interest in President Obama and the First Lady, was very, very high, and I think everybody is very, very happy with the portraits, and Kehinde did an incredible job. So it was a remarkable and inspiring day.
Yes.
And pretty great to have such an example of such an articulate and thoughtful president.
Yes. I love what you said, a thoughtful and articulate president. So let's deal with the artists that you have chosen over the years. You really have dealt with a lot of groundbreaking artists, those who have done performance, from those who have done works with some interesting colors, and then those who have dealt with sculpture. I'm very impressed with some of the artists that you have dealt with in the area of sculpture. I mean, it's magnificent, to artists who are doing large-scale portraits like Kehinde. So what is your process, and what made you select the various artists that you have over the years?
I think it's really very simple. I mean, we're not interested in having a linear program. We're not interested in representing a lot of artists that look or think the same. I think we have a very rigorous conceptual program, and what we look for is artists who fit into that rigor, but who are absolutely world class and distinct in what they do. You know, it's so. There isn't another artist that looks like Kehinde in the program. There isn't another Marina Abramovich in the program.
Yes.
There isn't another Joseph Kassuth or, you know, Candida Hofer or Sam Moyer or Hugo MacLeod in the program. You know, they're all very distinct. We think that they're all really world-class artists. We work all over the world. And what we want to do is to provide a platform and a voice for the artists to be as successful as they possibly can be, and I think we've got a pretty good track record in that department.
You do, and the art that you are, you know, presenting around the world, very, you know, cutting edge contemporary art. Yeah. And where do you see that moving in, let's say, the next decade, contemporary art? I had a nice conversation with Nicole where we talked about that contemporary versus fine art, and, you know, you can't speak on the works that you're presenting now as fine arts exactly because, you know, they're new. And it's going to take a while for more and more people to embrace some of the artists. But tell us, where do you think, because it seems exciting to me, but I just wanted to ask your opinion.
Well, I think, you know, if we look back over the last 30 years, I mean, you know, when I started professionally, I mean, it was very much a market that was dominated by America and Europe, and now look at where we're at. I mean, you have Latin America, you have the Far East, you have China, you have, you know, markets in Australia, you have markets all over the world. So I think that we've all educated ourselves rather better. We have a much better sense of there being a much broader international cultural tradition and a history. And I think that, you know, there are still new frontiers to explore. I mean, for me personally, I think one of the most exciting things that's happening right now is the explosion of interest in Africa all over the continent, especially amongst younger artists, especially with people working in the design world, in the fashion world. I think the kind of cross-cultural maturation in Africa right now is fabulous and very, very exciting. And, you know, there are always new parts of the world to visit, new markets to explore, and new places to find talent. And culture's always growing, you know, it grows around us all the time. And every time you think it's been, you know, maybe overexploited or overlooked, one's always pleasantly surprised because something else will pop up. And I think at the moment it's a very exciting scene. So, you know, we travel all the time, we're looking all the time, we're listening all the time, we're finding artists all the time, and it's, you know, I think it's a really exciting time to be a gallerist.
Yes, I would have to agree with you that I think education has been very good in the sense that we're re-educating ourselves. I was just telling someone a few months ago that I thought that, you know, I was pretty good with geography and then found out I was not taught, you know, geography correctly. What I thought was, you know, we still call it the Middle East, but that's Southwest Asia. And what I thought in the areas of Afghanistan and Iraq, that's really Central Asia. And, you know, it opens up a whole new world when you look at it differently. Those were the routes of the Silk Road, and those desert routes actually helped to not just transport goods and, you know, that we love today, coffee, the teas, the sugars, but it traveled, you know, information and culture and different understanding. So yes, I think people are starting to look at the world differently. We see it much more broadly than we have in the past. And I think that is infusing a lot of vibrancy in the contemporary art market. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so very much. I mean, what you're saying in a way is that those routes of information used to be physical. You know, the Silk Road was a real manifest thing, and it was something people physically passed down. Of course, now what we have is the information highway and the internet, and in a way, you know, it's the absolute inverse of what we had before. So We can get a lot of information from around the world very, very quickly, and we can find out about things that are trending or peaking very, very fast, and the world is moving very, very fast. But by the same token, that is not a real experience. That is not being in the same room with the maker. That is not getting on a plane and going to Nigeria and sitting down with, young artists in Lagos making incredible work that is unlike work being made elsewhere. So I think that as informed as we are, and that's a wonderful thing that we have the world at our fingertips, literally at our fingertips, is an old-fashioned comment to have the world at your fingertips, but now we literally do. It's still not a substitute for being in the moment and being in the real world. And I think that that opportunity to be in the room with an object, to be in the room with a maker, is still a very privileged and special thing. And I think that as we travel around the world, we should all be seeking those moments more and more.
Great. This is fabulous. I know you have to get ready to dash off, and I did promise that I would keep this short for you because I know you're extraordinarily busy. But I want to thank you so very, very much for joining us, for sharing with us and allowing us to celebrate with you, all the wonderful things that have happened for you, your gallery, and your artist, Mr. Wiley. And we hope that we can bring you back again so that we could talk. I was there at your gallery last year, May, when you had him there for an exhibition. And I'm hoping that I can make this weekend, because I think you have an opening as well this weekend. And
we actually opened on Saturday, just with the new work of from Cuba by a German artist from working in Havana, actually. And I opened last Saturday, and that's why I was here for that, and then I went down for the Obama unveiling on Monday, so it's been a very busy week. But we'd love to have you all in the gallery on Saturday. It'd be great.
All right, so I will make sure that I will come by. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.
You too. It's very nice to speak to you. Thank you.
Very nice. And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. And we just had with us on the air Sean Kelly, who is the founder of Sean Kelly Gallery, located in the Hudson Yard district of Manhattan. And we got to talk with him about his perspective on art, his career, and then the celebration of having one of his artists, Kehinde Wiley, complete the commissioned work of President Obama's official portrait. Now, we're so excited for our next guest. And I just wanted to say this before we bring her on. It's just that this is the reason why State of the Arts is important. This is also Fund Drive for WBAI FM radio. And we work very hard to try to, on State of the Arts, to bring you the most when it comes to art in New York City and beyond. We try to go behind the scenes. We try to share perspectives. We bring various guests of enormous, disciplines that we can't even begin to share with you, but we are doing our best so that way you can understand just how important New York City is, how it's thriving, how it's evolving still in the 21st century. So we're asking you to please support us as a WBAI buddy. Or if you like, we have curated some very excellent premiums for you. We have 2 CDs, one that deals with Native American art and with Angela Davis, who we also had on our show just a couple of weeks ago when she was talking about feminism and jazz. So you can go to give2wbai.org. You can call at, what's that number, Reg? 516?
516-620-3602.
Yes, or you can text, correct?
That's right. They can text to donate, texting WBAI to the number 41444 on their smartphone, and they will receive a link, and that link will open up into a page, and then we'll ask them how much they want to donate to this radio station. They can start it off with $5 and work their way up. Every donation is tax deductible.
Great. So we don't want to spend too much time on the fund drive, because right now we want to have our next guest up, and she is live in the studio. So we have Maureen Bray, and Maureen Bray is the new Executive Director of the Art Dealer Association in America. And we had the president last year, Adam Schiff, and now we have the new Executive Director. And so now we want to talk to her about their upcoming art fair. And their art fair is one of the first ones to kick off art season in New York at the Park Avenue Armory. So, Maureen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Savona. I'm happy to be here.
That's fabulous. Now, you have quite a career yourself, so why don't you tell us briefly about your career?
Well, I've been in the gallery world for 20 years. I started first at Robert Minuchin's gallery. It was called C&M Arts at the time. And then I went on to work with Sean Kelly, actually, for 7 very happy, fruitful years. And most recently, I've been at David Nolan Gallery.
Yes, that's a nice gallery, too.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting. Over the last, I would say over the last, 6 years, I have really developed some real friendships with a lot of dealers. I know over 100 art dealers in New York City, between the Brooklyn, Dumbo, Williamsburg, Bushwick, Lower East Side, Upper East Side, which is turning into an exciting area now. Chelsea, I really know quite a few, and that's another nice, gallery where they do some very interesting works. So, all right, so you started off working in these galleries. Are you originally from New York?
No, I was actually born in Houston, Texas. Yeah. And like many people, I came to New York with a suitcase and a dream 25 years ago. I knew I wanted to work in the art world and went from there.
That's great.
Started working at the front desk at Robert Minuchin, answering the phones, getting the coffee, and slowly over time worked my way up.
All right. So now you deal in addition to presenting artists as well, correct?
Well, now, as the new executive director of the ADAA, my job is to work for this nonprofit that has almost 180 member galleries across the U.S., and I think we're in 29 different cities now.
Ooh, that's big.
So it is. It's big. It's a full-time job.
I was about to say. You don't have no time to deal. You have no time to present nobody.
But what's terrific is that I still get to work with all of the people I know in the art world. And my job is to help them help the artists that they work so hard for and that the artwork that they believe so passionately in. So I feel like I'm really in a really special position to help make a difference for those dealers and gallerists that spend their lives dedicated to art.
Yes, and this is your 30th rendition, correct?
Yes, it's our 30th anniversary of the art show. It opens with a gala benefiting Henry Street Settlement on Tuesday, February 27th. And then the run of show is Wednesday, February 28th through Sunday, March 4th.
Okay.
And if you need information about getting tickets or the hours, you can go to our website, artdealers.org. There's a section about the art show there. So, yeah, it's our 30th anniversary at the Park Avenue Armory there at 67th and Park. And, Savona, I know you know how beautiful that building is.
Oh, my God, that place is beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. It used to be an armory.
Exactly.
And I love how various groups have found a way to present their shows there, from shrouding to incorporating the interior.
Yes.
I think it's very, very unique, that space. And now you're going to do something special too, something very interactive, correct?
Yes, as part of the art show, we'll host a performance by one of China's most highly regarded ink artists. His name is Wang Dongling. And the performance will take place there at the art show at the Armory on Wednesday, February 28th at 5:30 p.m. And Wang will, and during that time, actually start to create new painted calligraphy works on these large-scale pieces of plexi. So I think it's a terrific moment to see the kind of the beauty and the pageantry of the creative process really intimately, up close and personal.
Yes, I've worked with Japanese artists before, and as I mentioned to you before the show, how we had an artist who did this whole demonstration with the ink and putting it, creating this huge art piece that he did on paper. It was just amazing to watch that, and you feel like you're immersed in the culture, and you feel honored that you get to kind of, to witness and to be a part of all of that. I think that's magnificent. Now, there are other things that you're doing as well that's different, correct?
Well, we'll have a keynote speech, which will take place on Thursday, March 1st in the evening. And actually, that's really exciting. One of our lead partners, AXA Art America, our lead partner, Christiane Fisher, is the president. And she's going to talk about what she calls the value of dead art, the afterlives of damaged works. So if a work gets damaged, what happens to it? How do you determine value going forward? And then what happens to the work once it's been damaged? What are the options for collectors or museums or dealers? So I think that's going to be a really fascinating look at a part of the art world that we don't often think about, but that is, it's a critical part of the art world.
It can also create some new opportunities.
Sure.
Like interventions, because a lot of interventions are you take existing works and you add another layer on top. Those could be new opportunities, too, creating new works. And so, therefore, it's a blend of, what was there originally, but new expression. So that's interesting. It's almost giving permission for people to do that, and I think that's kind of interesting, particularly from an insurance company to do that.
Well, let's see what she has to say. I'm looking forward to learning. And
okay.
She's certainly one of the leaders in the industry, so she'll teach us a lot.
All right, and then you're doing a lot of solo exhibitions, too.
That's right. One of the unique things about the art show is that it's this more intimately scaled environment. It's there in the Park Avenue Armory. There's 72 booths of our member galleries. And I think what's terrific is that oftentimes galleries will choose to do solo booth presentations. And that's a great way on an intimate scale to have a kind of a one-on-one dialogue with a body of work by a specific artist. And in this case, this year, we've got, I think it's 16 solo booth presentations of women artists, which I'm particularly excited about.
No. And tell us, who are some of the artists or groups who are doing that?
Sure. So Anglem Gilbert Gallery will have a solo presentation of early, never-before-seen works of Lynn Hirschman-Leeson's.
Oh, wow.
Which will be exciting. And then PPOW will have a survey of Dottie Addy's works. She and another artist, Harmony Hammond, which will be shown at Alexander Gray Gallery, they were two of the founders of the female cooperative Air Gallery in the early 1970s.
Yes.
So, here we have three examples of important female artists, historically important female artists that I think are finally now getting their due and will be able to experience their work in this incredible environment at the art show.
I happen to love Air because I take a lot of people to Air because what they have done is very unique. Just for the benefit of our audience, they have been a women's collective for like 40 years. And then what they have done with their space is that they've divided their space to offer and maximize opportunities for women, because women still have a hard time getting represented by galleries. So by them dividing their spaces into like three unique galleries within one huge umbrella space, they are able to showcase so many women artists. And I've seen some really pretty amazing works in that gallery. Very clever, very innovative, and the artist visits quite often, so that way you have this interaction and change with them. Who else will you be showcasing?
Well, speaking of Sean Kelly, he'll show works by a Guadalajaran artist named Jose Davila, and those are brand new works, and he scanned images of printouts from catalogs of modern masters, and then he's gone in by hand and removed sections of the images.
Okay.
So there'll be works by Jose Davila there. Wardell Milan will have a solo booth presentation at David Nolan Gallery.
Okay.
With brand new, really show-stopping works. I just got to see images of them last night, and I was blown away.
Okay.
And then there'll be historically important exhibitions as well. Hauser and Wirth will show show works by Hans Arp. Of course, as you well know, one of the co-founders of the Dada movement in the early 1900s. Marianne Martin will actually show some sketchbooks from Diego Rivera, Gunter Grosso, and Leonard Carrington. So it's a chance to see works from early in the 20th century, even earlier than that, all the way through to works that were completed just within the last month. And they're all under, as you said, that same umbrella. So that you can round the corner and see a work by Pierre Bonnard, and then turn the corner and see the work by Wardell Milan.
Yes. Oh, this is exciting. And so tell our audience your email address.
Sure. It's you can go to our website at artdealers.org.
Okay. I said email, but I meant website. Go ahead.
It's artdealers.org.
Okay.
And that has information both on the ADAA as well as on the art show.
Okay, great. So this is fabulous. We are really going to have, I think, a very interesting art season.
I think so.
In New York City, with a lot of interactive new works and dialogue and inclusion, particularly with the women artists. And I think this is something for everyone to enjoy. And again, for the benefit of our audience, if you're not a collector, that doesn't mean you can't be. It is not necessarily an endeavor where you need tens of thousands of dollars. You can buy works for less than $1,000.
Absolutely.
It's about developing your eye, knowing what you're interested in. It should be what you love. And so therefore going to these fairs helps to educate you so that you can develop what matters to you. And that's what it should be.
That's right. And it's like what Sean was saying. Nothing replaces standing in the room with the physical object. Allow yourself to spend time with the physical objects and figure out what it is you like, what moves you, what motivates you.
And then that's how you grow and grow with the artist.
Exactly.
Oh, this is great. I love this when I'm talking with folks where we share the same mind. So I just want to thank you so much, Maureen, for joining us.
Thank you so
And
much.
she's going to send us more images that we're going to post online. We've been posting the last couple of days a lot of images and information. And this way you can go after the show and learn more about it. So I just want to thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to coming on February 28th.
I look forward to seeing you at the art show.
Okay, thanks. And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. We just had Maureen Bray, who is the brand new executive director for the Art Dealers Association in America. And we're talking about their new fair, 30th edition, starting February 28th. Again, this is why we're asking listeners to support State of the Arts NYC. This is why we're asking you to be a WBAI buddy, because we are bringing the art world to you in the comfort of your home or maybe your vehicle or on your device. And then this way you get to appreciate the arts from a different perspective, behind the scene, real and up close. And then this way you can enjoy and engage and learn more, because we want you to. New York City is not just an American city, it's an international city. And so the art world has been changing over the decades, and its impact in New York has done it as well. So if you wish to be a WBAI buddy, you could go and sign up on give2wbai.org. That's give2wbai.org. And we just want to give a quick shout out, because if you do become a WBAI Buddy. Next week, we are so excited. We are going to have a special broadcast live where people could come in, and we're going to bring the Resistance Revival Chorus here at the Commons. And we'll have reserved seating for WBAI buddies close to the stage. But they perform with Kesha at the Grammys. This is what we're bringing to you: excitement, energy. And then we will also have representatives from We Are the Federation and the Pop Culture Collaborative. It will be an all-female show, but it will be exciting with music and engagement, and people can have refreshments, beer, wine, food from the Commons. We're going to make it a cafe style, intimate. Well, candles around. It's meant so that you can truly engage with others, enjoy the arts. And the best way to do that also is by signing up to being a WBAI buddy. If you wish to go even further, we have 2 curated premiums for you. The voices of Angela Davis, and we also have another premium that deals with Native American art, and we have been engaging with Native American art as of late, which is actually changing, becoming more light-based, becoming more contemporary. This is what you get when you participate with State of the Arts NYC. And with that said, now we will have our special interview with Nicole Berry that I was able to record earlier in the week. She is the new executive director for the Armory show. And I'm in the office with Nicole Berry, who is the new executive director for the Armory show. And this is a real pleasure getting to meet you and learning about this year's rendition about the Armory show. So, Nicole, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did your art practice or curatorial practice all begin?
Well, my career began in secondary market galleries.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing the work that some of our exhibitors do, working in the galleries, and then moved to fairs about, I guess it's 7 or 8 years ago now. Okay. And I moved to Chicago to help start Expo Chicago. So the history of fairs in Chicago was a deep one. Art Chicago was a fair that had been around for a long time, and that went away, and so there was an opportunity to really build a fair from the ground up, which was a great opportunity. And then, but I had lived in New York, and Chicago is a fantastic city, but I miss New York. I wanted to get back to New York, the heart of the art world. And so this opportunity came about, and I joined the Armory about a little over a year and a half ago, and am thrilled to be the executive director. I'm very proud of the organization. It's been an amazing run so far, and the fair seems to be on an interesting upward trajectory that I'm very excited about.
Okay. I thought it was interesting because when I was reading your bio, it says that you're a West Coast kind of gal.
I am, but when I moved, I grew up in San Francisco, and I had a whole other life as an elementary school teacher. I taught elementary school for 8 years before I then went back and got my master's in art history.
What grades?
I taught 3rd and 5th.
Interesting. Those are interesting years.
And good preparation for anything that I would do subsequently. You know, as a teacher, you really develop some good skills for leading you into your next chapter of your life.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's nice to know. Wow. So you left San Francisco, came to New York, and you worked at a number of galleries. One I like very much, Vivian Horion.
Yes, who's an exhibitor at the Armory show. So it comes full circle. Everything comes full circle. Yes, she's a terrific gallerist, and that was my first job in New York after I got my master's degree. And I have not looked back since. And when I moved to New York, it really felt like home. I love San Francisco, and it's a great city, but my family moved away, and so I don't get back there very often. And the moment I stepped foot in New York, I was like, these are my people. This is home.
It's funny that you said that. Just dovetailing briefly, I've met a number of people recently in the last year who were originally from San Francisco. And they said, oh no, I love San Francisco, but I love New York more. And they're just like, no, I want to live here. I want to figure out how to stay here. So it's interesting.
It's a city that gets under your skin. You can't. I've lived in Chicago for a bit, and I just kept, it was like a boyfriend that I missed. I longed for New York. I really missed everything about it. So I'm thrilled to be back.
And with that said, New York is changing because it is not just an American city. I tell people that all the time. It's an American as well as international city. And even on that level, it has changed quite a bit in the last couple of years with the elections in the UK, with the elections here in the United States. I have seen that we're getting more international fairs than we've ever had before. How does that complement what you guys are doing here at the Armory Show?
Well, I think the fair will be 25 years old in 2019, so it's been around for a while. We have a very loyal base of visitors. Mm-hmm. So obviously people from New York, from the tri-state area come, rain or shine, snow, or snow or great weather, which who knows what we'll get this year. But they're very, very loyal. And what's been really important to me since arriving is to it's not 25 years ago when there were 5 fairs. There is a fair every weekend somewhere in the world. So we have a lot more competition than we used to have. And to be out on the ground in engaging with communities, whether that's in Kansas City, whether that's in Los Angeles, whether that's in Madrid. So we have VIP ambassadors all over the world, but then we also do regional events all over the world. I was just in Mexico City, and we had an event for exhibitors, collectors, curators, artists. We had an art performance at that event.
I didn't know that.
So we're doing a lot of outreach, and really, I think that there used to be a lot of international people who would come, in addition to that loyal base of visitors and collectors. But I think that that had changed a little bit over time, and it's a goal for us to bring some of that in. We certainly have international exhibitors, and that doesn't mean that international collectors don't come, but I just think we'd like to see that increase even more.
Yes, I didn't know that you did these regional events, because that's a great way. I try to explain to people that nowadays, because of the internet and things have been so fractured, what we all may have shared together, is not the same. You can, select, and curate your own TV now, your own video games, your own movies. So now you have to find much more engaging ways to get people together, to pay attention, to focus. So that's very good to know that you're doing that kind of outreach to bring people to the city and to see what we're offering, because New York is still this international now platform for presenting, which is different than before. It was just a place to come to see, but now people want to present here. And that makes me dovetail into your focuses and your platforms and your curators. How did you pick? You have Gabriel Ritter from the Minnesota Institute of Art, or Minneapolis.
Minneapolis Institute of Arts.
And then you have Jen Merkel, is that how you pronounce her last name? Merkel, who also is curating the platforms. And so tell us a little bit about those, because that seems like you're engaging too.
Yes. So for me, curators are such an important part of the fabric of the art world.
Thank you for saying that.
But it's true. It's true. They're making decisions. They're out there looking, discovering new artists. And I think that for me, it's always, I did some curating when I first got into the business, and it's so rewarding. And the studio visits and all of those things are coming up with a theme for a show and seeing it all come together. It's an extremely rewarding part of the art world. And so for me, they play an important part for the fairs as well, because they're the ones who can bring new galleries that might not have participated before, ones that are bringing new artists that the visitors might have seen. We have a very sophisticated audience. So some of our visitors, if they're going to other fairs, we don't want them, of course there will be things that they see at other fairs, work by artists. But we want them to have some discoveries as well, and the curators are often the means to have those discoveries. So the focus section used to be geographically based.
Yes.
And last year was the first year that shifted, because the art world is global now. It doesn't make sense to just have one section. You're going to run out of places in the world eventually, and it also just sets up a dynamic that isn't necessarily relevant anymore. So we thought it would be more interesting to have a curator come up with a thematic idea like they would for a museum show, and create like a mini museum exhibition in a fair, which is a difficult task and not an easy thing for someone to do. But the idea being, last year we had Jarrett Gregory, who is now at the Hirshhorn. This year we have Gabe Ritter. The idea being that for that section, the focus section, that it could be a younger curator who is on the rise, and this can be a great, platform for them. And for Gabe, he has a background that was very interesting to me, and he has connections to the Asian art community as well. So there are galleries that are participating that have not participated before. So Yamamoto Gendai from Tokyo, the Drawing Room from Makati City, and Empty Gallery from Hong Kong are all galleries that have not participated before, but we're very excited to have and to see those presentations. I think we've also moved the focus section to the front of 92. Last year it was at the back of 92. And I think part of that is we've expanded it, but also for people to walk onto 92 and have a very different experience than they have in the past. Because historically, as you know, the Armory was Armory Contemporary on 94, Armory Modern on 92. And last year was the first year that we really shifted that up, mixed that up. And so this year it will be even more of a different experience walking onto 92, seeing Gabe's section.
So you're really focusing on global, and you're trying to, sort of mix it up, mash things together so that people can look at the world a little bit differently. I can see that it's needed, because I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding about different parts of the world, and if they can see it side by side, then some of those misunderstandings can kind of dissipate, because then it's like, we have more in common than not, but it's just our approach to different things, I guess.
Yeah, I think then looking through the lens of a curator with this, whatever theme the curator chooses to select, that is that commonality, exactly what you're saying. It highlights that commonality, that thread that links everything. So it really brings all parts of the world to New York for people to experience. And for Jen, for platform last year, Eric Scheiner, who was the former Warhol Museum director, he curated the first platform section. So that was the first time that we had done that. This year, Jen was selected because for that, what Gabe is doing is very difficult, but I think the platform section curator has a very difficult task. Because these things are spread throughout both piers, and they can be so vastly different, the projects. And so you can come up with a theme, but you've got to be so general with it that it can incorporate a lot of different mediums, a lot of different artists. Well,
I was very impressed with I think you pronounce her name, Wang Lin, who is doing this light-based technology
from Desarth Gallery. Yes.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's very ambitious, but what Jen has done. But I think that what I like about her platform section this year is that you have ambitious and exciting projects that will sort of stop the view in their tracks, but then you have like the Tara Donovan piece or the Richard Long piece, pieces that are more contemplative, that will we all have been to the Armory and know how busy it is and what the stimulation level is. It's quite intense. And those two pieces are meant to make you pause and really take a moment. I think the average time that people look at art now is like less than 5 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, it's some ridiculous statistic because our attention spans have become so. We've got our our iPhones, we've got the computer, we've got everything, and it's constantly changing. And so for me, I love the idea of stopping. You see the booths, you're interacting with all of the artwork, and then you stop for a moment and have this sort of meditative pause. that you get more energy, you can go tackle the rest of the fair, and also and take the time to interact with it.
Yes, I think that is needed nowadays, because, I mean, when I deal with a lot of young people today, they don't seem to retain a lot of anything. They're racing through everything, life, in fact,
right,
and getting them to understand that the pause is important so that you can reflect, so you can digest, so you can even share, you know, what you think you understand is so important. So I guess that's the direction. So is that what makes Armory now so different than some of the other fairs that will be taking place during the same time?
I think, yes, I think that there's other fairs that are happening at the same time have a lot to offer as well. But for us, the variety of art and the sort of breadth of art on view is really remarkable. It can be fantastic for people who are collectors, you know, who've been collecting forever, and then people who are just coming to Armory for the first time. They're getting to experience, an exposure to art that is unlike anything else.
No, because you're the granddaddy of all the art fairs. You kick off art season in New York City. I mean,
well, that thank you for that.
No, it's the truth.
We hope so. We really want it to be an enjoyable experience. And so what is another nice thing about Gen Section is that contemplative aspect is there, but then we have a project like JR's piece that the New York Times covered last week that is really about dialogue. You know, if you're driving on the West Side Highway and you have no idea what the Armory show is, you've never heard of it, you've never been, but you're going to see a big piece of artwork, and that will hopefully start a dialogue.
So he's going to take part of Ellis and put it on the outside?
He's got archival images from Ellis Island that will be blown up much larger than life, about 30 feet high and about 50 feet wide. And he has superimposed portraits of Syrian refugees taken from a refugee camp in Jordan.
So he's changed it.
So he's altered it to be relevant for the issues that are happening currently.
I was one of 800 people selected to screen Ellis.
Oh, wow.
A couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
The night I selected, I can't forget, November 13th, the night of the Paris attack.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was with the program director at my radio station, and she said, Savona, maybe a few people don't know who JR is. I'm a big fan. She said, why don't we show a couple of short films that he did before to introduce him, and then we'll show the Ellis film. I said, you know, that's a great idea. So we did Le Bouquet. That's the one we picked. And we're showing it, and just as we're starting to show Ellis, everyone's phones were going off.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, what's going on? And that's when we found out about it, and everyone's whipping their heads to say, how did you know? I said, I didn't know. I did not know.
Wow.
But that was the night we presented it, and then after everyone got through the initial shock, we saw it. It's a beautiful film. And Robert De Niro was magnificent. So now you're saying he's taking that and he's now talking about contemporary refugees coming from Syria, which is very important because they are really suffering over there. And others have attempted to deal with the MENA region, Bill T. Jones with dance, and others have done the same thing. So that's quite fascinating.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big talking point for people. Again, those who are entering, they can't miss it. It's right there, confronting them, and then people who are driving by. It's going to be a very impactful piece, and it's the first time that we've had something on the exterior of the fair. But New York has such great public art, so it makes good sense that we would have something that was for the public.
But it's very political. That also seems a little different for the Armory, because you guys have never really delved too heavily into politics.
Right, and I think that there's political art all over every fair. You just you don't know it because it's not as sort of in your face. But I think that a lot of the art that is being created right now is political because how could it not be?
Yes.
So we're not making a political statement with it. You know, we're showcasing art that's being made that is relevant to the issues that are topical.
Okay. Any other highlights we should be paying attention to?
I think that the interesting thing this year for the layout is that we are, in order to try and, a big thing for me is to try and unify the fair so that it's not considered two separate fairs, that it's really one fair that you need to experience everything in order to get the full experience. And so having Pier 92, so last year we had the Yayoi Kusama in the town square in Pier 94. The Tara Donovan will be there this year. And we're trying to mirror as much as we can. They're different size piers and shaped piers, but mimicking the same layout so that we will have a town square that separates the focus section from the historical section called Insights. And that town square will have an artwork by Mary Sabande. Okay. And also a bar for people if they need to, not just pausing and reflecting on the art, but if they need to get a little drink or nibble before they head down the rest of the pier. So I think that is something that I'm excited to see this year, having the art installations all throughout both piers and having those moments of pause and reflection, dialogue, and making it seem like a fair that you need to experience the whole thing. Okay, that it's not just, oh, I'm going to this pier, I'm not going to that pier. Because there's so much on offer in every section that we have.
And before we end, I'm curious about the Leadership Summit.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I'm very excited about this. This is an inaugural year of the Curatorial Leadership Summit where we have around 80 curators that are going to be coming to an invite-only closed-door session. Okay. It's a conversation between Coco Fusco and Olga Viso, moderated by Naomi Beckwith from the MCA Chicago, who is our chair of the summit. Naomi's fantastic. I thought she was the perfect person for this. I got to know her well in Chicago, and I think she's not only incredibly intelligent, but she's a fantastic personality. She's just got the most amazing energy, and she's not afraid to go tackle difficult topics.
All right. And we are back with State of the Arts NYC. That was a great conversation we had with the new executive director of the Armory show, Nicole Berry. As I've been sharing all evening, we have been posting a lot of information. We did 2 picks. So we did a pick of our favorites for the platform. We picked our favorites for the focus. So you can see that on our blog site on WordPress. So you can see all the images and the information about each artist. We are about to wrap up our show this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, this is week, 2 now, Reggie? Week 2 of the fund drive. You could go to give2wbai.org, become a WBAI buddy, or take on our curated premiums. We hope that you will join us next week when we have our live broadcast down at the Commons. Enjoy your week, everyone. Don't worry about the snow. And a shout out to the Black Panthers. I will be getting my tickets. Bye-bye.
This is Dr. Michio Kaku, host of Exploration. This coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the Barnes & Noble on 82nd Street in Broadway, I'll be doing a lecture and book signing for my new book, The Future of Humanity. Are we about to enter a new golden age for space travel? What are the pros and cons? So join me this Tuesday at the Barnes & Noble on 82nd Street as we discuss the future of humanity. Don't miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the award-winning Midnight Ravers will do a Black History Month fund drive show on Friday, February 16th, 2018, from 12 midnight to 2 a.m. Join us as we present 2 new exciting thank you gifts for your generous donations. First is our highly revered show, Juneteenth. Second is our most recent production, Fear of a Black Planet. So tell a friend, Tune in and show your support. That's Friday, February 16th from 12 midnight to 2 a.m. for our Black History Month Fund Drive Show. Only on WBAI in New York, 99.5 FM. Miss it and hate yourself.
The Midnight Ravers, where every show is a special.
All right, and once again, this is WBAI New York, 99.5 FM and WBAI.org on the web. This is a listener-sponsored community radio station providing you a Pacific state of mind since 1960. The previous program was State of the Arts NYC with Savona Bailey-McClain, heard Fridays at 5 p.m. And, yes, we are closing out week number 2 of this fund drive here of Winter 2018, raising funds to make sure that this institution continues to provide you information here on a regular basis. The number to call to show your support right now is 516-620-3602. Once again, 516-620-3602, or go to give2wbai.org on the web. That's give2, the number 2, give2wbai.org on the web. And also you can text to donate. Text